we got a bunch of dolphins this morning. So cool. Look at those things.
Sweet.
Pretty sweet. Right off of our balcony. You know, when you live in Alaska, waking up in the morning, having some coffee on a balcony and seeing some dolphins out there is just something that you just don't see every day. It was -7 when I left. Currently in Kailua Kona, Hawaii. The weather's been exceptional. It's been in the 70s, low 80s, nice breeze. Got a condo right on the ocean, and you know, life is good. Collecting wise, what a year it's been. Kind of looking back, I kind of finished off the year with a couple of really nice pickups of cards that I've been looking to get for quite a while. And just with one in particular I hadn't got around to just yet. And that one finally came in, and that is a Phoenix Blue Luka rookie number /99. This is a card I've been looking for a long time. I debated it back and forth about getting a 10. I got what I thought was a good price on a PSA 9. Went ahead and pulled the trigger and bought the 9. Just a great card. I like the color matches. Big fan of Luka. I have noticed though that since LeBron's come back, the Lakers not so good. It's the Spurs that look great. Spurs kind of appear to be OKC's kryptonite. We'll see long term, and we'll see if Wemby can stay healthy. But I've been watching some basketball. Been kind of keeping up with the NBA stuff. So this Luka pickup was a nice one to kind of close out the year. And then I also picked up one other basketball card. Topps has been out of the game for a long time. They came back this year, as we know. I cracked a bunch of Topps on the channel, some Target exclusives. I cracked a couple Megas. I cracked a Blaster. Out of all of those, I like the Target exclusives the best with the blackout refractors. I really like those. Anyways, I was talking to a friend of mine who's big into the Topps Black Parallels, and I decided I was going to go after a Cooper Flag this year. So Cooper Flag is numbered to 68 in this year's Topps. All of the parallels, Topps Black Parallels this year are. And I decided, well, I'm going to go after it. You know, and I try to avoid buying the first one or two of a parallel when a product first comes out. But I learned with this that it's kind of like, you got to be a little bit careful because, you know, when are these things going to be listed? More than likely, most often, it's going to be at release. But at the same time, if you buy the first copy or two, you're probably going to pay the most. And so I had an opportunity to buy one at around $900 or like $1,000, and I took kind of a calculated risk. I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy this one. I'm going to pass, and I'm going to keep my eyes out. So I was patient. I waited a little while. I caught an auction on one, and I ended up paying $433 for this Cooper Flag Topps Black. Again, numbered to 68, pretty rare parallel. So I was happy with that price. I thought, you know, $433, that's a great price. Really happy with it. And so I just kind of forgot about it in the meantime. I'm like, well, it's got to go through authentication. It's going to take a while to come in. When it finally came in, I looked at it, and it looks even better in person than in the pictures. If you're familiar with Topps Black Parallels, they kind of have a look that only real collectors could love, because a lot of them are in rough shape. They have some whiting on the edges and on the corners typically and stuff like that, and this one's no different. I'm gonna get it graded by PSA for sure, but I don't have delusions of grandeur. It's not gonna be a 10. It's not gonna be a 9. If I get a 7 or an 8, I'm gonna be thrilled with it. But like I said, it does look better in hand than I had seen in the pictures. But realistically, you know, 7 or 8 I'd be happy with. Wouldn't be shocked if it got a 6. Be disappointed, but 7 or 8 is probably more realistic. But I've noticed since, though, I actually went online yesterday to take a look, and these have kind of dried up all of a sudden. The prices went back up. There's a couple that sold in that $700-800 range. And now all of a sudden on eBay, there's none. available, at least at time of recording. And so I learned a lesson out of this. Like TVP always says, always learning. I learned a lesson out of this. There's kind of a fine line between buying rare parallels at release and having the supply run out. Like, you got to kind of avoid trying to buy them when they're at their peak, like price-wise, when they're at their very highest. But at the same time, they dry up. So it's like, I'm sure there's going to be more that are going to pop up. But it might take a while. And the prices might be higher. I'd be curious to see if anybody goes ahead and gets these graded. I looked a while back and there were none yet. There might be some on the Pop Report now. I'm going to actually check that out today. Because now I'm just kind of curious to see if anybody's had them graded. I know that the golds, I think the highest grade in the gold so far was an 8 that I had seen. So I know that a lot of these Topps parallels, one thing that hasn't been fixed with Topps is the quality of the condition of a lot of these parallels. They sure haven't gotten that fixed because there's still a lot of chipping and a lot of white on the edges and corners. But I guess they're just not going to address that, or I can't address it, or whatever the case may be. I have no idea. But really like that card. I really like Cooper Flagg. I think he's 18, 19 years old, man. I mean, he's really young. He's got such a bright future. I feel the same way about Wemby. I've mentioned it before a couple times. I mentioned it even earlier in this video that, it's just going to come down to health with him. Flagg and Wemby are both potential superstars. Wemby's already there. Flagg, I think, though, has potential. He's just really young. And to do what he's doing, average 18 plus points a game when you're 18, 19 years old, I mean, that is really a feat. That is significantly tougher than a lot of people realize, I think. I haven't played a lot of basketball in my life, never at the professional level, but just understanding, like, that each level up, it gets more and more difficult. To be doing it at his age is pretty incredible. So, really excited about that pickup. Definitely going to get it graded. We'll see what it grades. I don't know. 7, 8, like I said, would be great. Going into 2026, I'm kind of curious as far as, like, what types of strategies do you guys have to build up your collections? What types of stuff are you looking for? So for me, I may be in a very, very small minority of collectors that feel this way, but one of the things I'm going to be looking for to help kind of beef up my personal collection is I'm going to be looking for major discounts of BGS and SGC slapped cards. That's going to be a big part of my strategy. There's an old saying that, you buy the card and not the holder. So true. But I just feel like if people are going to be given some serious discounts on BGS cards and SGC cards, I'm going to keep looking for them. I had shown this gold Ohtani in the past, this BGS 9 update Ohtani. I feel like I just got this card for incredibly cheap. I paid $800 and some dollars. $800 and some dollars is a lot of money for a card. Don't get me wrong. But when a 9 in PSA is going for, man, I want to say it's like $1,500. This card looks great in hand. I'm thrilled with it. And so if I ever decide that I want to try to cross it over or something like that, I mean, I guess that's an option. I'd like to leave a lot of these things in the existing holders, but you have that option. And so I'm going to continue to look for those big discounts in BGS and SGC for sure, and maybe even CGC. One thing I've noticed, and let me know if you've seen something else with this, but one thing I've noticed with CGC, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of the corners on the particular cards I'm looking for look pretty rough. Like, they're higher grade, but the corners look rough. And maybe it's just the particular cards I'm looking at, I'm not sure. So I don't know if that's something that you've noticed or not. I've noticed some 9s with some pretty rough corners. And again, maybe that's just particular cards I'm looking for and not the norm. I'm not really sure. I love the holders with CGC. So I'm not in the camp of, well, I'm just going to boycott PSA because, I don't like the fact that they bought Beckett and stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. I do like PSA. I wish that somebody would have revitalized Beckett, but you know that brand may just be too far gone. But doesn't mean that there's not opportunities there. The other thing that I'm going to do too is I'm in an ongoing process of selling some stuff via consignment, and so I want to continue to kind of go that route. Fewer cards, higher quality in 2026, and part of that is just saving up for some of these bigger cards. Two targets that I have this upcoming year. I would like to explore picking up an Ohtani 2018 Update Black. They've gotten, I mean, it's like any of these other Topps Black parallels, they've gotten really scarce. They're hard to find. I'd like to explore picking up one of those. The grade isn't that important to me. It's just owning a copy of the card. The other thing that I'd like it to pursue picking up would be the rookie debut from 2018, also in a black with his batting stance. I'm looking for that card this year. If I don't acquire either one of those in 2026, I'm kind of good with it. The 700 was the one I really wanted to get, and ironically enough, it's the 3 home run streak, the 189. Honestly, out of all of them, that was kind of my favorite image on those Topps Black parallels. I like that one the best. I know it's like kind of like a checklist or whatever the case may be, but image-wise, that's kind of my favorite out of all of them. But if you missed that previous video, I did buy a trimmed copy of the 700, and I'm thrilled with it. It looks great in hand. I knew exactly what I was buying. I bought it at a significant discount, you know, and I'm in a relatively small club, as a friend of mine said, in owning that card. So couldn't be happier with it. So what types of cards are you looking for in 2026? That's my main question. I hope that everybody's year kind of comes to a great close here. Hopefully you're able to pick up some more PC cards at the end of 2025 and into 2026. As always, if you haven't already, if you consider subscribing to the channel, that would be great. And I'll see you in the next one.